game. He got smoked. A lot of these guys will stay in it if they feel like they're upright, they don't get hit a lot. In Tampa Bay, because of their history, they're just going to furnish Tom with gifts. This is why I left New England. They weren't going to compromise their culture for Tom. Tampa's like, we don't have much of a culture. You are our culture. So I could see him playing just because Tampa's like, listen, you have changed. The Glazer family's like, listen, we were worth this. Now we're worth this. The general manager and Bruce Arians probably now a Hall of Fame coach. So when you can walk in and change the culture will bend to you. And so I can see them furnishing Tom. If they have a decision, they just go, let's just give Tom another offensive guy instead of a defensive guy. It's what New England wouldn't do because their culture was so empowered through the years.
But this is also a great example of how you treat your body matters and what you put in your body matters. Like Tom Brady is the perfect example. When you're an athlete, your body is your job. You got to think of it like a nice sports car, like a Ferrari. You're going to put the nicest gas in it. You're going to keep it clean. You're going to keep it covered. Your body is no different. And coming from someone who had a health freak mom, I was only raised on the health food. Once you go back to that not so good stuff, you feel how it negatively affects your body.
No question.
Immediately. And Tom Brady is the living proof of that. He fuels himself well. He takes care of himself. 5 years, maybe a bit of a push, but he's definitely going to be at peak performance because of how he takes care of his body for the next 2-3 years.
Listen, how you take care of your body will determine how you age. And some people simply age more gracefully because they took care of stuff.
All right, well, the Texans are dealing with a lot of internal turmoil right now, especially with Deshaun Watson's future. Former Texan Andre Johnson has defended Deshaun this offseason and gave even more insight to how bad things are with the team. He said, I've been around the organization for a long time. I worked there last season. Being able to be on that side of it, it's just certain things that you see that you know are not right. I think sometimes top people in the organization, they just don't listen to players. And that's something I felt like I had to deal with a lot when I was there. Now, the curtain is just slowly getting pulled further and further back on that organization. And we're seeing really how big of a mess it is, not only for the players, but also the front office.
Well, I mean, look at the Detroit Lions. You had Barry Sanders retired early. Calvin Johnson retired early. Matt Stafford wanted out. Why? Because the players understand this. It's not right here.
No.
Houston's becoming that. They're a winninger version of Detroit where they're just star players don't feel. And by the way, players don't demand that you do everything for them. It's not the NBA.
No.
Deshaun Watson just wants some answers to some rudimentary questions. So this is, the NBA's always been totally player-driven. Where in the NFL we understand that even a quarterback needs a left tackle, he needs a running game. It's more of even a quarterback needs complementary pieces. LeBron wins everywhere. It's not like Texan players are asking unfair, unreasonable questions.
No.
Could you just not give away draft picks? Could you? I am rarely on the side of NFL player demanding out. This is the rare instance. I get Deshaun Watson's please.
And he was also promised things, and then they didn't provide the promise. So that's the biggest thing. All right, moving on to the Nets and Lakers. They face off tonight for the first time this season. Brooklyn won't be at full strength with Durant sitting out due to a hamstring strain. But heading into the matchup, LeBron was asked about the Nets' star power and how good Durant, Kyrie, and Harden can be as a trio. Take a listen.
Being a student of the game and looking at the collection of talent that the Brooklyn Nets have, is there a team that you can compare it to in league history having that much offensive firepower on the same group?
Have we forgot about KD, Steph, and Clay already?
I love how quickly he replies to this.
By the way, KD, Steph, and Clay's a really good defender.
Yeah.
So the difference with the Warriors is Kevin's always been a willing defender, but Kyrie's not a willing defender. He's awful, and Harden's not. The reason that the Warriors were so good is Draymond was just a defender, and Clay was an elite defender, so you can get away having Steph, who's a defensive liability. The problem with the Nets is Durant is a willing defender, but he's older now, and the two other stars just don't give it to you on the defensive. That's why every Nets game, win or lose, is the same, 128, 124.
And they've only played 7 games together. I feel like to be put in that category, you got to have some hardware. You got to win some playoff games. You got to win, I don't know, a championship. Maybe have some hardware to prove it.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to take.
Alex with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Albert Breer is going to show up today. Bruce Arians, maybe on a golf course, he's going to stop by as well. So, all right, the big story today, if you just popped into the show, let's update you on the breaking news, and it is substantial. The Rams have upgraded to Matt Stafford. The Colts today officially upgraded to Carson Wentz. As we've noted several times, the NBA was always the transactional league. The NFL was not. Jimmy Johnson started trades years ago, kind of kick-started sort of a new generation of how to think and how to build teams. Now you've got a lot of young general managers in the NFL. Les Snead of the Rams is pretty young. Chris Ballard's young. Howie Roseman of the Eagles is young. Listen, the Eagles did not do well on this deal. Howie Roseman wanted to do a lot better than a third-round pick and a second-round pick. Now, the second-round pick may become a first-round pick, but they wanted much more. I mean, Deshaun Watson may get 4 number-1 picks. I don't think Carson Wentz is worth that, but Matt Stafford got you. Lions got Jared Goff and multiple first-round picks, and I think a third. So the Eagles got worked here a little bit, and they have nobody to blame but themselves. The Eagles butchered this relationship. Carson Wentz is one of those players that, and when you're young and you haven't built up your resume, Philadelphia is a different town. It's very vocal. It's very verbal. It's very angry. Sports talk radio, media is very powerful in Philadelphia. So they take this kid from the Dakotas. He's a small town kid. They bring him in. He's terrific. He gets hurt, but his winning got them home field advantage. Nick Foles comes in. Wins a Super Bowl. And so instead of understanding that was going to be difficult for Carson Wentz, it was kind of bravado. It was kind of, that's the way it works. And then they draft Jalen Hurts, second round. That's also a signal to Carson Wentz. So it was a lot of ego here in Philadelphia, just not understanding you've got a young quarterback. Foles winning a Super Bowl. He heard they drove past that statue. He heard it every day. You got to understand, even Tom Brady got sensitive on Jimmy Garoppolo, and he had 5 rings at the time. So they didn't massage this relationship with Carson Wentz terribly well. Philadelphia is a tougher than average. It's a Northeast town where sports talk radio, fans are loud. They're in your face. It's not the West. Where people out here we got a million things to do. The weather's good. We're out all year. Sports is important, but it's not life. You get into these Philadelphias and Buffaloes and Bostons, and sports is life. It's just part of the tapestry of the city, and players hear it, and they didn't massage they didn't massage Wentz very well, and it blew up in their face. By the way, that Jalen Hurts thing at the end of the year when they took him off the field and put him on the bench, that was stupid. You come on. You got to take care of your quarterback. You got to make him feel important. And you don't have to coddle him. You have to coddle Carson Wentz. You have to coddle Mahomes. But these guys change the net worth of your franchise. I mean, the Colts are worth more today than they were with Phillip Rivers. They're probably worth $30 to $50 million more today. Jim Irsay made $50 million today, net worth, because Carson Wentz is your quarterback, and their Super Bowl odds improve. Wow. So you got to take care of this stuff. And Philadelphia just didn't. They did not, as they say, handle him with care. And he needs right now, he needs a little love. He needs to be embraced. He's going to get Frank Reich. He's got the offensive line. He needs an organization to fall in love with him again and tell him, you're our guy. You're our guy. And he needs that love. And young athletes do. Hell, old athletes do. LeBron can get, defensive. Brady gets defensive. Peyton Manning can get defensive. These guys are, Aaron still gets defensive. When they draft a kid out of Utah State, you got to take care of these guys. They're the franchise. Philadelphia didn't, and they got worked by the Colts. Very exciting. By the way, another contract thing. I'm about done talking about this. There's a story today on Dak's contract that Todd France is his agent. Todd's a very legitimate agent. And there's talk how the Cowboys can pay him about $32 million a year, big signing bonus, and make it work. I'll say this about all contract negotiations. Somebody's usually got the leverage. A lot of times it's the corporation. It's the team. The longer the Cowboys have waited on this, in my opinion, the more leverage Dak has. There's 4 or 5 things working now in Dak's favor. Number one is Jerry Jones is 78. He didn't want to start over with a rookie quarterback. He's 78 years old. He wants to win. Dak's productive. Number two is Dak is beloved by teammates, and he ensures you won't have chaos at the position. Number three is Cowboys have a lot of needs to fill. It'd be nice to go into camp knowing you got the quarterback. I mean, they got to go draft another corner. They got to draft a safety. They got to figure out what to do with DeMarcus Lawrence because he costs a fortune. They may have to move one of their wide receivers because they got 3 of them, but yet they've got an aging offensive line. The other thing Dak's got going for him is we got 9, 10 teams need a quarterback. Now, take the Colts out of it. We may be down to 8.